Hey, this is Mary, your holistic addiction recovery coach, helping connect you to holistic resources for healing, recovery, and personal growth. Today, I'd like to talk about a recovery concept. It's actually a saying most commonly heard in the rooms of 12-step recovery. In the 12-step recovery community, sometimes you'll hear people say, don't analyze, utilize. Don't analyze, utilize instead. So what's that about? What does that phrase mean? What's the intention behind it? I'll just throw my interpretation out there for you today, and hopefully you find it helpful. And if you have anything to add, feel free to do so below in the comments section. So don't analyze, utilize. This is a recovery concept. If we first just look at the word analyze, what does analyze mean? Essentially, it means to dissect something, right? To really look at all the details, to examine something in detail. And certainly there's nothing wrong with the concept of analyzing something, right? I mean, analysis is necessary in a lot of areas in life. It has its benefits, but we're not talking about that here. What we're talking about is overanalyzing. Let's face it, if we're prone to addiction, to addictive tendencies, we are prone to overdoing things in general, right? So certainly we can also be prone to overthinking things, overcomplicating something, to the point of overanalysis leading to what you might have, maybe you haven't heard this term either, but analysis paralysis. So I just want to touch on this today, this recovery concept, because I think it's really important. We can tend to overcomplicate things, and when we do that, we get stuck, right? So let's say we're approaching some problem, some issue, anything. It could be recovery in general, and if we get stuck in the mental energy of it, just stuck in the cognitive process of trying to figure something out alone and going it alone, not asking for help, then we're stuck in our own heads, right? And we might not see things so objectively or clearly, even though we're trying to analyze it, which is about kind of, I think, seeing all the, kind of pulling out all the different components of something to try to pull out some greater meaning or come to some conclusion about something. But when we do that alone, it can be a little tricky, and we can really get stuck in actually the process of just trying to figure it out. Again, stuck in that mental energy. And when we do that, we're not utilizing all of our resources, our own resources. We are body, mind, and spirit, and we're not engaging all of those components of our being, all of our assets in that way when we're only stuck in the mental energy. And that's what can happen. We're just overthinking something. When we approach something, from that cognitive standpoint alone, chances are we're coming from a place of ego, like I can figure this out, right? If I just really, dissect it and get into this, I'm sure I can figure out the solution. I can figure it out. But, we can have blind spots and where we don't even realize. It's kind of like we can't see what we don't know is going on. And so again, when we get stuck in trying to analyze something, coming from a place of ego, when we're relying solely on our intellect, so that it's really easy to get stuck, period, right? And that's where the concept analysis paralysis comes in. That's saying, what does that sound like? Well, paralysis means literally you can't move, right? So that's that stuckness. So if we're just solely trying to figure something out alone in our own heads, chances are we're going to go down that path of analysis paralysis, which means we can't move. We literally won't make a decision or take appropriate action because we've got ourselves stuck, really frozen, right? Paralyzed, we're frozen. And why are we frozen? Chances are we're frozen in fear, trying to figure things out, trying to control the outcome, because of some fear about what the outcome might lead to. And so we get stuck in almost trying to control the information, right, through analysis. Well, if I control the information, then maybe I can control the outcome. So again, coming from fear and ego. So that's where we get stuck. And then what happens? I mean, essentially, we end up not getting what we want anyway, right? We end up stuck and paralyzed, not getting the healthy or beneficial outcome. And so whatever we're afraid of facing, or whatever we are hoping to happen doesn't happen because we do nothing. So that's basically the way I see the don't analyze part. Don't get stuck in analysis, okay? And then what is suggested instead is to utilize. What does that mean? Obviously to use use the resources that are available to us. There's an abundance of resources available to us to approach different problems in life. Sobriety itself, if you're in recovery already, and just in general, just dealing with life. Abundance of resources. So if you're in any 12-step program, there's so many tools to utilize just from 12-step recovery alone. And then when you add in outside resources, there's just so many, an abundance of holistic tools, outside help and resources to choose from. So there's no reason, no good reason for us to get stuck in analysis when there's so much for us to utilize instead. So if you essentially find yourself going down that path of overanalyzing something, what can you do? Shift to utilizing. And then what tools do I have? And there's so many to choose from, right? I mean, if we take some concepts from addiction recovery fields, it's like, first of all, asking for help. So instead of trying to figure it out on our own, we can ask someone for help. You can ask a sponsor, a therapist, another sober or recovering individual that probably has some more experience dealing with whatever the issue is that you are. A trusted friend, a coach, a counselor, whoever it may be. As long as you're getting out of your own head, you're able to get a more objective perspective from someone else. So asking for help is key, always, in most things. And if you are, again, an addict, recovering alcoholic, whatever your ism may be, chances are asking for help doesn't come naturally. And so it's a practice, reaching out and asking for help. So that would be number one, I think, in terms of utilize. Certainly prayer, meditation. Meditation helps to quiet down that mental energy that can kind of overwhelm us and consume us if we get stuck in that, right? So meditation can help bring the calmness and start to quiet the mental chatter so that you can kind of really be able to more clearly hear or access solutions, getting out of your own way in your own head. What else? Practicing that concept of turning it over, right? So not trying, the opposite of trying to control the outcome. Utilize, sometimes it can be actually not taking action. Different than being paralyzed and stuck. You can actively make the choice, maybe after you run your issue by someone else. Sometimes the suggestion is, you know what, the right action isn't clear, then the right action right now is not to take action, on that particular situation. That doesn't mean to just sit back and do nothing. Then you can try to move forward in some other area of your life, move forward with something else, take action in some other area. So you're not just sitting around stuck, feeling stuck, but shifting your energy in some other area. So you're still moving forward until the right action becomes more clear in that other, in that other situation that's kind of baffling you in the moment. Letting go. What else? Well, and then of course, I think really the saying where it came from is don't analyze, utilize the steps. So when we're talking about 12-step recovery, some people might say that steps can serve as an acronym for solution to every problem sober. Any problem you might face in sobriety, not just the solution to your drinking problem, your drug problem, your whatever you're addicted to problem. It's actually a 12-step process that can be applied to anything. So utilizing the steps is always recommended if you are in a 12-step program, and if you're not, something to consider. And then some people might say, but isn't part of the 12-step program, doesn't part of it involve analysis? Yes, but not the type that we're talking about in Don't Analyze, Utilize. Again, it's utilizing a process where you look at some information, but with someone else to identify patterns, and utilizing an objective, experienced set of eyes, if you will. And it's not about staying stuck and overanalyzing things. It's part of a process of moving forward. So analyzing the process of analysis and the steps is not about overanalysis or analysis paralysis. It's really the opposite, to see where you've been getting stuck so that you can stop doing that and move forward in a more healthy fashion. No longer from a place of fear and more from a place of faith. So, and finally, in terms of holistic tools to utilize, certainly my favorite is holistic tool is emotional freedom technique for when you're feeling stuck. When you're feeling stuck, and especially if you're stuck in the mental energy, like I said, you're only engaging one component of our system. And if you utilize a mind-body energy technique, such as emotional freedom technique, EFT tapping, it can help shift your energy. And what it does, it helps calm down the limbic system and calm us down so that we can almost break through that stuck mental energy and then gain clarity. And again, that's utilizing all of our different resources, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, and the energetic system that's at play. That's the best way to shift and get some clarity. You can do that with a practitioner on your own if you learn it, and that's something that I help people with. So certainly see my contact details below if it's something you want to learn more about. And I'll also link to an article and some other information video on it as well. So what else? The last video that I published on recovery concepts is about move a muscle, change a thought. So that's another thing that applies. That's another recovery concept that can apply when you catch yourself in that analysis paralysis. It's like stop and go and get, to get out of your head, engage your physical body and go move a muscle, literally go move, do something to shift out of that stuck mental process. So I'll put a link to that previous video too. I hope you find this helpful. Add to the discussion below in the comments section if you like. Thank you for watching the video. Please give it a little thumbs up under the video if you found it helpful at all. Feel free to share it with anyone that you think it might be helpful to. And I look forward to providing more videos for you. So also use the comments section or send me a note on my website if there's topics that you'd like me to address, especially recovery concepts from a holistic perspective. Thanks again. See you next time.